Hello, YouTubers out there. This is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So I hope to get a webcam I ordered, and which will shoot in HD, and that's going to make things a whole lot easier than using my phone. And I certainly don't like really using my GoPro camera because it's not necessarily 100% reliable for what I need. So this is going forward after this particular video, which is very raw, and I'm doing it, on the fly. At least I'll be able to focus and have the details all right for anything I discuss in the future. So editing will help a lot with that. Um, and I've done that before, but this particular computer, this PC, doesn't have a webcam installed in it. So anyway, I will start having my usual opening, which I hope to have, and probably tinker with it just a little. So that's the story with that. By the way, thank you. I think I got about 13 to 14 subscribers out there in the last month. So not bad for this channel. So let's get more. All right, so let's jump right ahead to the news story today with regards to a movie that came out 52 years ago, The French Connection. And apparently on the Criterion Channel streaming service that is is owned by from Criterion. They put out Criterion Collection DVDs and Blu-rays of stuff all the time. So apparently some people that were watching the film who presumably have seen it before, obviously, they noticed that there's a scene omitted from The French Connection. And it's a scene where Gene Hackman, who plays Popeye Doyle, a New York City police detective, after a scuffle that involves the stabbing of his buddy, played by Roy Scheider. Buddy, the character, is actually named Buddy. Anyway, there's a scene in a police station, and Gene Hackman says something to the effect of, never trust a racial slur. Okay. The irony of all this, of course, is that all the blogs and all the articles that came out in the last 24 hours that have talked about this, they can't even use the word themselves. So they're complaining about a word they can't say, which, of course, has been taken away from the movie. So this is for all digital and streaming copies of the film, The French Connection, and particularly on the Criterion Channel. So the odd thing about this, there's a little irony laced into all this in a way, and that is that Gene Hackman, at the time when he made The French Connection with director William Friedkin, who of course later on did The Exorcist and Sorcerer and a bunch of other films, was unsure about using that word. It's the only time he actually says the N-word in the film. And he wasn't sure about it, but I guess he was finally convinced to say it, and that's that. So now the scene is not in the Criterion Channel, presumably because the film was distributed by 20th Century Fox, and Fox is, of course, owned by Disney. So do they have some say on a film that's streaming on the Criterion Channel? Now, what about Amazon? I think that on Amazon, in fact, let's take a look real quick. Amazon, probably you can stream the picture. The question is it the full film? And also, the runtime, has it been affected, is another good question. So let's just see real quick, because I have no idea if it's streaming on there or not. Let's see. All right. Well, you can rent the film or buy it on Amazon. And the runtime is 1 hour and 43 minutes. That sounds about right. So that would be a good question to ask, but I guess because Disney owns it, the question is, on Amazon, do you have the same problem? And I don't know. I haven't the faintest idea. So that seems to be the issue right now. And I am not for censorship at all. I think the scene is important. It illustrates his character, so you kind of need the scene. But that's not the point. You shouldn't have to censor anything at all, unless you're showing it on regular network television, of which very few films are anymore. you could stream them. And so that would be a good question. Is Amazon doing it? Now, French Connection, from what I've checked, has never been officially released by the Criterion Collection. Uh, Maybe back in the day in Laserdisc, I don't know. Um, but currently on DVD, Blu-ray, there seems to be no indication that it's ever been released by the Criterion Collection. The other question would be, has the Criterion Channel ever shown Mississippi Burning, which also stars Gene Hackman, and which, in that case, in that film especially, the N-word is said a lot. And in particular, on one occasion, I think, by Gene Hackman. That would be a good question. And what other films are there on the Criterion Channel, because I don't subscribe to that channel, also feature racial epithets? I mean, you could start looking across the board for anything. So if any of you know, I mean, if there, is Internal Affairs playing on the Criterion Channel? Good question. That film stars William Baldwin, Richard Gere, Andy Garcia, and William Baldwin says the word at one point, and he plays a police officer. So I don't know. That's a good question. Who knows what's going on here? Or is it mainly because French Connection is a Fox film? Now, if that's the case, then on any other streaming service, including Amazon, is it being affected? That's the real question. So who knows? I don't know. Some of you can check. I just have the movie on DVD, and obviously the scene is there, so that's not a. There's no reason why it wouldn't be. But I never thought about it until people who, again, had seen the film already. Because if you haven't seen French Connection, you wouldn't even know there's a scene missing, more than likely. So anyway, lend me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Do you think we should be censoring movies and not telling people about it? That's another thing. I mean, can't we put an edited for content warning? And the question is, why are you putting it there? And why specifically French Connection and not just go across the board with any movie? Particularly about cops. My goodness, whether it's in Boston, New York, or wherever, cops tend to say things they shouldn't have to say. Clockers, another one which I recently watched again after so long. Spike Lee picture. Of course, it's directed by Spike Lee, but that has white cops in it. And let me tell you, Harvey Keitel, let's he has a mouthful of N-words at one point. So what do you think about all this? Why do you think this has happened? Are there other films in the Criterion Channel that can be, subject to or have been subject to the same type of censorship? I don't know. So lend me your thoughts. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit like on that button. And we'll be back with more reviews later this week. And that's all I got to say about that. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.